Happy Wednesday. Glad to be here with you. I'm Swati, the embodied Dharma coach, and I run this group with my amazing team of support. And we want to bring you quality resources that will support you on your path as you grow and expand in body and business nourishment and success. So today is all about understanding what it takes to create a thriving, successful business, a spiritual business. And spiritual businesses are different than any old regular business. There is a big difference between a dharmic business, something that is an expression or an offering from your soul and the gifts and the wisdom that are unique to your soul, and a career path. Career path has nothing to do with your soul purpose necessarily. It's usually something completely separate. So today is all about how to actually create success for your spiritual business, your dharmic business, that which is an expression or an offering from your soul. And most of you have been sharing your gifts and wisdom for many, many years, and you may be stuck right now. So, here we are at the end of the year, and we're taking stock of all that has taken place over the last year. So, let's talk about some of the things that we need to consider here at the end of the year. And I'm hoping that my internet is going to cooperate this week. Last week it was a little wonky. So hopefully we will be able to have uninterrupted service today and we won't have two separate parts here. So let's keep going and we'll hope for the best. So maybe you've had to learn the hard way in your business as well. I certainly have. And I started my business right after my mom passed very suddenly and tragically. And I was essentially non functional. So I was in bed, in pajamas, sobbing, sleeping. The grief was so heavy that I wasn't sure I would be able to even move forward with my life. And so, what kept me going was tracking the transits from a Jyotish perspective and writing blogs about the transits and how they impact our body. And it grew from there. My business actually grew from my bed and from my grief process. And a decade later, here I am. I feel as though I'm thriving, I'm content. I have a certain level of success and contentment, although complete transparency here, there are ebbs and flows to that. And there are days where I feel more content and nourished, and other days where I feel less content and nourished. And there's ongoing work involved in that. But as of today, things have been going really well. And over the last decade, I've certainly grown a thriving, successful 6+ figure spiritual business, sharing my gifts and wisdom, helping incredible clients all over the world really thrive in body and business. And so that feels very nourishing and soul satisfying to me. But I've certainly had to make many mistakes over the last decade in order to learn what I've learned. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sharing my Dharma mastery sequence and the steps that I share to support my clients in not making the mistakes that I've made and making sure that you have what you need in order to thrive in body and business. That we are creating our businesses from what the body needs and really listening to what the body needs in order to truly thrive. So, most experienced healers and guides, you've been running your business long enough to know that there are some things that you're not doing very well. and you know it's true. We all have places in our business where we're not paying attention very well, or it's not our zone of genius. It's not something we enjoy doing. And so we may neglect this part of the business. And I do want you to think of your business like a body. So when you neglect certain parts of your body, what happens? Same thing when you neglect parts of your business. They will start to deteriorate. They will start to not function very well, and they certainly won't be very strong. So, in the beginning of your business, maybe you could get away with not looking at the numbers. Maybe you could ignore the need for a bottom line. Maybe even get away with not having a solid business structure. But the resistance to improving and growing and strengthening these parts of your business, that resistance is going to cost you. And it's going to cost you big time in body and business. And it's why we're doing this class today, because it's 2022. We're coming to the end. We have less than a month now. And you're probably taking stock. I know I am. And just honoring, how did it go this past year? There are always going to be challenges and resources. So I want to invite you to really honor the both. It's this end. We're talking about challenges today, but of course you've had successes and growth as well. And sometimes that's inner growth and it's not outer growth. Does it feel like not much has changed, though, for you and your business this past year? Maybe you're still having the same issues that you had last year. Are you noticing that there is something that keeps showing up over and over again? Maybe you're feeling disappointed about your growth, about your revenue surplus, or the amount of lives that you touched this past year. So you probably already know this. If you've been in business for many years, like I have, there's a really unglamorous side of running a business, even a spiritual business. And when we ignore the unglamorous parts of having a spiritual business, it will cost us in the long run, and it will cost us our nourishment, our contentment. It will cost us our rest, our stress levels. It will cost us our ability to expand and grow, and not only be nourished in body, but when we don't pay attention to these parts of the business that aren't going so well, and maybe it's even scary to look at, or we don't want to look at it, it could even destroy your business in the long run. And it's why most small businesses fail within the first 5 years, because there are blind spots that are not being tended to. And so I want to go over some of those areas today and support you in strengthening more clarity, focus, and courage to look at these places in your business that aren't doing so well. And I'll also give you an opportunity to check in with me and have a personal meeting so we can see what you need moving forward. So this is really the truth about running a spiritual business. Again, I have been in business for over a decade. Started my business literally from bed, and incredible amounts of grief just trying to function, and have grown my business into a thriving 6+ figure business over the last decade. And I know a few things. I don't know everything, but I know quite a few things, and I've certainly made a lot of mistakes. And I want to support you in preventing not only the mistakes that I've made, but if you're having challenges in your business right now, it's time to start asking some important questions to yourself and to be courageous about making some changes so that next year can feel very different. So, the biggest mistake that I see most healers making with their bottom line is that when I ask you what your revenue goal is monthly and annually, you're probably going to tell me what you want to take home. But this is where you're making a big mistake. Um, the desire to take home, the revenue that you want to take home, that doesn't include running your business. And most of you don't even know what it costs to run your business effectively, or you're not using the money for your business effectively. So, here are the things that you need to remember in order to run a business properly. This needs to be included in your revenue goals monthly and annually. You need money for investing in your business, paying business support like coaches and advisors, as well as ongoing education. You need to be able to pay your assistants and VAs. You have to pay taxes and ongoing business expenses, as well as paying off any business loans or other investments. So this needs to be included in what your revenue goals are. So, do you know your numbers? And how much does your business cost to run? How much do you need to pay your support team? How much do you need for taxes? How much do you need to invest in your business? And that also means investing in yourself and your own growth. Your business needs, if you've been in business for 5 years or more, you are different than a startup. You are not in startup mode, and you should not be acting like you're in startup mode. So the needs of your business, 3 years in, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, the needs of you and your business will change. The support you need will change. The investments you make will change. The support team you have will need to change. And you need to prepare for the ongoing investments in your business, including support and education. You will never be able to grow alone without support and ongoing investment and education. And this is a huge mistake that I see very gifted healers make. They're 5 years in and they still don't have a support team. And they don't have the proper systems and structures in place in order to scale. And that just will lead to burnout. And it's also why many businesses fail, because they don't know how to grow and there's only one of you. And if there's only one of you, you cannot grow effectively without support. So, very important to know your numbers and really understand how much revenue you need to create in order to support and fulfill the needs of you and your business. So, how do you tell if you're running your business like a startup still? And I'm calling some of you out in a kind and friendly way to remind you that if you're still running your business like a startup and you're 3, 5, 8, or more years in, we have a problem. And I guarantee you're on the path to burnout, and we don't want that. So a startup is sloppy. Everyone thinks they have what it takes when they start out. And they are so excited to share their business, their offerings, their gifts, and wisdom, but they don't really know what they're doing. They think they have what it takes, but they really don't, because it takes time. That's the nature of a startup. You don't have what you need yet because you don't know what you don't know. I'm going to say that again. The nature of a startup is you don't have what you need yet because you don't yet know what you don't know. That takes time. It takes a lot of mistakes, and it takes a willingness to ask for help. You have to learn the hard way like the rest of us. So most startups lack proper scalable structures for their offerings. They lack proper pricing structures. They lack successful sales processes. And the confidence in their process and outcomes just isn't there. They lack systems for revenue and they lack consistent cash flow as a result. That's the nature of a startup. And it really takes many years to understand these concepts, to get support around them, to learn what doesn't work for you and your business, to structure and get the right structures and systems in place in order to have smooth, consistent cash flow and revenue. A startup doesn't have that. And the lack of confidence is the real thing because you don't have years of experience. You don't have years of experience running a business. You're still figuring it out. So if this sounds like you, and even though you've been running a healing business or sharing your gifts and wisdom for many years, but you still have these gaps going on in your business, this means you're acting like you're a startup still, and you're really not. And you shouldn't be acting like a startup. And if you're serious about having a successful, thriving business and really growing and expanding in ways that are nourishing for you and your body, as well as for your money, then we can't act like we're in startup mode 5+ years in. It's really unacceptable. So please be mindful of where these gaps are. And I'm going to remind you again, it's about proper scalable structures for your offerings, proper pricing structures, so you can keep cash flow consistent and growing. Successful sales processes. You know how to move someone through your process and sell them into your offerings. And that you have confidence in your process and your outcomes. You know what you're doing, you know how you do it, you know what makes you unique, and you're very clear in your offering. This is essential for growing a business as well as growing revenue. So, what will ultimately make or break your long-term success? Well, the reality is that refusing to ask for help and refusing to get solutions for what's not working will absolutely destroy your business. I waited way too long to get support. I waited 5 years before I hired my first business coach. And at that point, I was already scrambling and not having consistent cash flow. I didn't have proper systems in place. I was still doing one-to-one sessions. It was a nightmare. I was burned out. Oh, I just wanted to give up. And that would have been a shame because, five more years into this business, I've helped hundreds of clients all over the world trust their gifts, share their gifts and wisdom in this world. What would have happened if I'd just given up and gone and gotten some sort of crap 9-to-5 job that I hated? And it would have deteriorated my soul, and I certainly wouldn't be fulfilling the contract with my ancestors to support this transformation in my own body and soul as well as my lineage. So there are dire consequences when we don't show up and do the work and get the support that we need to really grow a business and keep it sustainable. So not asking for help, not getting solutions, and I mean a tenacious seeking out of solutions. Not like I tried it once or I hired a couple coaches and it didn't help. You will need to, on an ongoing basis, every year, do an audit for your business. How's it going? Is this support team really working for me? Do I need to make adjustments? Who's in, who's out? What's working? What's not working? And make the necessary changes. These are seasonal changes as well. and you may need to make adjustments seasonally. You need to be willing to invest in your business success and keep getting answers, solutions, support, and inspiration as well. We all need inspiration. We can't just do this alone. So if that's not you, and if you don't have this commitment and this willingness, and this is a really harsh reality, just know that a 6+ figure business, it's not going to be for you. And sometimes that's what people discover. 5 years in is like, I thought this was going to be amazing, and I thought it was going to be better than a 9 to 5, and I'm realizing that I'm not cut out for this. And for some of you, it's not that you're not cut out for this. It's that you are not asking for support, the proper support, and that you're turning away from what your business is trying to tell you. Just like your body's trying to tell you something. And if we don't listen to our body, we get dis-ease. It's the same in your business. If you turn away from the challenges, if you turn away from the things that aren't working, your business will deteriorate as well. So why are you not growing faster, and what do you do about it? So these are some questions I invite you to ask yourself. If you are committed and you're all in, and you know that having a thriving, successful, nourishing, healing business, it's for you. You're all in. There is no plan B. This is your soul work in the world, and there is no turning back on your soul and your soul work. That you are here to offer your gifts and wisdom in this world, to fulfill the contract with your ancestors and strengthen the Dharma in your lineage, and also to bring your medicine into this world. And that's what I truly believe this world needs right now, more than anything, is healers who trust their own medicine, trust their own gifts and wisdom. So if that's you, but the business stuff is really sloppy and you need help with this, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Please take these questions in, even go back and re-listen to this so you can do some journaling with these questions. What percentage of your revenue are you reinvesting back into your business? Do you have the right team of support in place? Or are there gaps? Are you actively restructuring your business, or waiting until it just all falls apart? Do you know how to restructure your business in order to get the results that you want? Or are you just kind of winging it? Are you actively seeking out resources, solutions, and support? Or are you just hoping things get better? Are you engaged in your business success, or are you turning away from it? Again, just like the body analogy, we can't turn away from these parts of the body that are talking very loudly. There's challenge, there's pain, there's discomfort. If there is pain, challenge, or discomfort in the body of your business, you need to show up and pay attention. Don't turn your back on this. How do you handle challenge and failure? This is so important. What makes a good entrepreneur? Being an entrepreneur is like being an artist. Do you know how to turn your mistakes, your failures, into something new, a positive outcome? Do you know how to turn lemons into lemonade? This is a skill that is essential for your business. And we must act like we're artists in this process of creating a nourishing, successful business. If something's not working, let's get creative. Are you fully committed and devoted to sharing your gifts and wisdom? It's that question of, are you really all in? Are you 200% devoted? Because I'm going to tell you something really honestly. If you're not 200%, if you're just dipping your toes in, and there's a part of you that's like, you know, I'll just go back to a day job and, I'm not really that into this, then you can't be successful. Success really requires devotion and full devotion. That's the difference between Dharma and a career path, by the way. Those of us who are walking a Dharmic path, sharing our gifts and wisdom in this world, we know that there is no other option. There is no other option. And we're committed to fulfilling our soul duty, sharing our gifts and wisdom in this world in a way that is not only beneficial for others, but also beneficial for our own soul and our own body. There's reciprocity in this. So ask yourself if you're really committed, if you really are on a devotional path of sharing your gifts and wisdom in this world. Also, what's in the way of saying yes? Because sometimes there's some inner work to do around that, some fears, some sort of resistance, some grief in the way, and it's likely ancestral grief as well. So here's how to identify exactly what's in the way of your success and thriving. We're coming to the end of 2022. We're coming to a close. And how do you feel about your year? It's a good time to take stock and just evaluate, how did it go? How are things feeling? Is there disappointment? Is revenue not flowing like I hoped? Feeling like you're maybe still in the same place as last year, same challenges, and identifying where the real issues are. So after today's class, you should have a better idea of what that looks like. What are some of these very real challenges that you are facing in your business, and where are the gaps? It's rarely ever about needing more clients. And I just want to really highlight this because most of you in this group have shared with us in your private messages that you want more clients and you want more revenue. But it's never really about needing more clients. You either have an internal block or an external block. So what's in the way of your expansion and growth? It's either inner work that needs to be done or improper systems and structures that are keeping your channels, your revenue channels, from flowing smoothly. And quite frankly, it's usually a bit of both. So a year from now, if nothing changes, how will that feel? And I just really want to invite you to consider this question. And I do this, more than every year, even throughout the year. But now is the time where I'm asking myself the same questions. There are parts of my business that need some new support, some new resources, some extra guidance and resources. And how willing am I to make these changes? So if a year from now nothing changes, how will that feel? And how committed are you to succeeding in the next 6 months? 6 to 12 months. What's the time frame here for your success? So if you're ready for solutions, let's have a meeting. Let's determine what's in the way of your success. Together we can create a plan and next steps for you, your body, and your business. I've just opened my calendar up for you. Comment me below. I'll reach out to you personally and get you scheduled for a clarity session. Let's make sure you move towards your body and business goals in the next 6 months so the new year feels entirely different. So type me below in the comments. I'll reach out to you personally. We'll set up a meeting. We'll determine what you need moving forward, what's in the way of your success, and we'll find solutions together. I'll look forward to meeting you in session very soon, and I'll see you in the group next week when I bring you another class, and I have an exciting topic for you next week as well. Looking forward to seeing you in session, everyone. Be well.